My wife once told me during an argument that she only married me for financial security and that she was way out of my league. So I hired a private investigator and found out she was cheating with her trainer, planning to leave me right after getting half my inheritance. Hello Reddit I+ here. My name is Noah Larkson, and until 8 months ago, I believed I had married the love of my life. I was wrong. I wasn't her soulmate, her partner, or even her friend. I was her investment, one she fully intended to cash out on. I'm 36 now, but when I met Sabrina 10 years ago, I was 26, a quiet, bookish software engineer with zero experience in dating. My days revolved around code, coffee, and my grandfather's old workshop, the one place that smelled like my childhood. I'd recently started earning good money, and I was proud of that. What I didn't talk about, though, was the trust fund my grandfather had left behind, one that would mature when I turned 35. I'd never been comfortable with people treating me differently because of money. Then came Sabrina. We met at a charity gala hosted by one of the clients of the company I worked for. I wasn't even supposed to be there. My boss had offered me his ticket at the last minute. She walked in wearing a silver gown that caught every flicker of light in the room. Her hair was perfect. Her posture was that of someone who knew she could own any space she entered. And when she laughed, loud, confident, unfiltered, heads turned. I never thought someone like her would talk to someone like me, but she did. She told me she liked men who were smart and grounded. I told her about the project I was working on, an architecture AI model, and instead of zoning out like most people did, she smiled and said, "That sounds fascinating." I was hooked. We started dating soon after. For 2 years, she was everything I thought I wanted. Attentive, affectionate, and always by my side. She laughed at my dry jokes, brought me lunch at work, and talked about our future. She made me feel like the luckiest man alive. When I proposed during a trip to Florence, the same city my grandparents had honeymooned in, she cried, actual tears. She said yes before I'd even finished asking. We got married 6 months later in a lavish ceremony. Sabrina planned almost entirely herself. She wanted a vineyard wedding with imported flowers and a custom-made Italian dress. I hesitated about the cost, but she kissed me and said, "This will be the start of our forever. You can't put a price on that," and just like that, forever began. The first year of marriage was fine. Or maybe I just wanted to believe it was. Sabrina quit her job as a pharmaceutical rep not long after the wedding, saying she was tired of corporate politics and wanted to focus on building a beautiful home. I didn't protest. I made enough to cover the bills, and I thought she deserved a break. She joined a high-end gym soon after. Personal trainer, spa membership, the works. Every few months, she'd want to refresh her wardrobe, designer handbags, new shoes, endless salon appointments. I paid for it all. She had a way of making me feel like her happiness depended on it. Like if I just gave her what she wanted, she'd keep loving me. I wanted that love, but as time went on, something shifted. Sabrina began to look at me differently, not with affection, but with appraisal, like she was constantly measuring me against something unseen. Her compliments turned into criticisms. "You really need to take better care of yourself," she'd say, while brushing her hair in front of the mirror. "You dress like a college intern," or, "You should try working out." My trainer could help. She started calling me boring, always jokingly, always with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The more I tried to please her, the colder she became. The affection dwindled until our marriage became a performance, one that only looked happy from the outside. The turning point came during an argument about money. Our credit card bill had crossed $9,000 in a single month. Spa treatments, lunches, designer clothes. I sat her down and said, "We need to start budgeting better." She stared at me for a moment, then laughed. "Budget? Are you serious, Noah? You make enough. Why are you acting broke?" When I told her it wasn't about the amount, it was about responsibility, she exploded. "You're cheap," she shouted. "You should be grateful that someone like me even looked at you twice. Do you have any idea how many men would kill to be with me? You got lucky, Noah. You're not exactly a catch." Her words sliced through me. But she wasn't finished. "I married you because you were safe, because you could give me the life I deserve. Don't flatter yourself into thinking I did it for love." Then she left, just grabbed her purse and stormed out, leaving me sitting there, surrounded by receipts. The receipts of my own stupidity. That night, as I sat in the silence of our oversized home, I began to replay every detail of our relationship, every red flag I had ignored, every moment I'd chosen to interpret as love instead of calculation. I realized something. She had never truly looked at me, only through me, straight to my wallet, and for the first time, I allowed myself to doubt her loyalty. I hired a private investigator the next morning. Her name was Ruth Delaney, a sharp-eyed former police detective who had seen it all. I told her everything, The insults, the spending, the distance. The way Sabrina's phone had become glued to her hand. Ruth listened quietly, then said, "If she's hiding something, I'll find it." 3 weeks later, I had my answer, and it was worse than I imagined. Ruth handed me a folder thick with photos, reports, and printouts. Sabrina was having an affair with her personal trainer, Travis, the same guy she had hired 2 years ago at her luxury gym. The affair had been going on for over 6 months. They met multiple times a week, in hotel rooms, restaurants, even his apartment. Ruth had photos, video clips, screenshots of messages retrieved through a contact at the phone company. One text burned itself into my memory. "I can't stand being in that house anymore. He's so dull, so predictable. Just a few more months until the money hits, then I'm out of here for good." That money was my inheritance. She knew about the trust fund. She had timed everything. She was waiting until I turned 35, the day the fund vested, so she could file for divorce and legally claim half. Ruth even found that Sabrina had already met with a divorce attorney to confirm it. She had spreadsheets estimating her potential payout. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning to cash out and leave me bankrupt. For a week, I said nothing. I smiled, kissed her good morning, and pretended everything was normal. Inside, though, I was planning. I contacted my lawyer, transferred my trust assets into a protected family foundation under my father's name, and revised my will to ensure none of my inherited assets were legally tied to our marriage. 2 months later, on the morning of my 35th birthday, Sabrina woke me with a kiss and a glass of champagne. "To us," she said. "To your big day." She smiled, that dazzling, practiced smile, the one that had fooled me for years. I smiled back. "To us." That evening after dinner, she asked if I had checked the trust account. I told her it had gone through, every cent. She kissed me again. The next day, I left early for work, or so she thought. In reality, I met with my lawyer to finalize everything, every dollar, every property, legally unreachable. That night, Sabrina came home late. She smelled faintly of Travis's cologne. When she walked into the living room, she froze. Ruth was sitting on the couch, camera in hand. I turned to Sabrina and said quietly, "Happy anniversary." Her face went pale. Ruth handed her the folder. Photos, texts, proof. Sabrina's voice trembled as she stammered something about explanations. But I didn't let her finish. "I know everything," I said. "You've been planning to leave me after the trust vested. Unfortunately for you, that trust no longer exists in my name. You won't see a single cent." She stood there, shaking, as I handed her a pre-signed divorce agreement. "I suggest you sign it before I add adultery to the filing." She tried tears, then anger, then silence. In the end, she signed. It's been 8 months since that day. Sabrina moved out the same night, taking only her clothes and the car I let her keep. She tried to contact me a few times afterward. Guilt, manipulation, maybe regret, but I never responded. The trust fund is still intact. My heart, though cracked, has started to heal. Sometimes I still think about the man I was when I met her. The one who believed love was something you could buy with kindness and effort. Now I know better. Love doesn't demand a price tag. And sometimes, walking away, even shattered, is the most expensive lesson you'll ever learn. The silence that followed the divorce was heavier than I expected. The house felt like an empty museum of things she once touched. The marble counter she always cluttered with perfume bottles. The faint scent of her floral shampoo lingering in the guest room she'd claimed as her own. For weeks, I'd catch myself setting 2 plates at dinner, only to stare at the empty chair across from me. It wasn't that I missed her. I missed who I thought she was. The illusion of love I had built my life around. But illusions fade fast when truth hits you that hard. Sabrina, of course, didn't go quietly. 2 months after the papers were finalized, I received a call from her mother. I hadn't heard from the woman since our wedding. She said Sabrina had fallen on hard times. Apparently, Travis, the personal trainer she'd risked it all for, had dumped her once he realized she wasn't getting a dime from me. The relationship had imploded spectacularly. Ruth, my investigator, later told me Travis was already seeing one of his other clients. A wealthier, older woman. Sabrina had tried to move into a small condo downtown, but without my financial support, she couldn't maintain her lifestyle. The designer handbags went first, then her jewelry. She took up part-time work at a boutique, the same one she used to shop at with her friends. The same friends who no longer answered her calls. Her mother's voice cracked on the phone. "She's not doing well, Noah." She's embarrassed, humiliated. "Maybe if you could just talk to her." I stopped her there. "Ma'am, with all due respect, your daughter made her choices. I've already paid enough." I hung up, my hands steady. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilt for saying no. A few weeks later, Sabrina showed up at my office. I hadn't seen her since the day she signed the divorce papers. She looked different, thinner, darker circles under her eyes, the confident energy replaced by something brittle and desperate. She waited by the elevators, clutching a small gift bag. When I walked past her, she gave a nervous smile. "Noah, please. Just 5 minutes." I could have ignored her. But something in me, curiosity, maybe closure, made me stop. I gestured toward the conference room. She sat across from me, wringing her hands. "I made a mistake," she said softly. "I got lost. I thought I needed more. But I was wrong. You were good to me. Better than I deserved." I watched her carefully. Her voice trembled in all the right places. Her eyes glistened. But I'd spent too many years studying her performances. This was another one. "What do you want, Sabrina?" I asked flatly. Her eyes darted away. I need help. Just until I get back on my feet. I'm behind on rent and I cut her off. "You had 5 years to build something real and you chose to burn it all down for greed. You don't need help, you need consequences." She flinched, then switched tactics. "I loved you, Noah. I was scared of losing the life we had. I got caught up in things that didn't matter." I leaned back in my chair. "You didn't love me. You loved what I could provide. You planned to gut me financially and disappear with another man. Now that the plan failed, you're here begging for scraps. That's not love. That's survival instinct." Her face hardened. The act dissolved. "You think you're better than me?" she hissed. "You'll die alone, Noah. No one's ever going to want you. You're boring, pathetic." I stood up, opened the door, and pointed to the exit. "Then I guess I'd rather be boring alone than trapped with a beautiful parasite." She left, slamming the glass door so hard the frame shook. That was the last time I ever saw her in person. Divorce, I learned, isn't just a legal split. It's emotional surgery. It cuts deep, but if you survive it, you grow stronger. I sold the house we'd lived in. Every room in that place echoed with memories I didn't want anymore. I moved into a quiet apartment overlooking the river, a place filled with nothing but peace and open space. At work, I threw myself into a new project, designing an AI platform for small businesses. Something about building systems that couldn't betray logic felt grounding. Within a year, the program took off, and I was promoted to senior division lead. But the real healing didn't come from work. It came from rediscovering who I was outside of her shadow. I started hiking again, something I hadn't done since before marriage. I joined a local art club, learned how to cook more than just pasta, and even adopted a dog, a golden retriever named Jasper, who somehow managed to pull me out of every dark mood with a single wag of his tail. There was a peace in solitude I hadn't known I needed. And then, slowly, something unexpected happened. One afternoon, I was volunteering at a local tech literacy program, teaching older adults how to use smartphones and computers, when I met Ilara, one of the coordinators. She wasn't flashy or loud like Sabrina had been. She was calm, warm, with that kind of quiet confidence that didn't need validation. She laughed easily, asked thoughtful questions, and when she listened, you felt it, truly felt it. We became friends first. Coffee after sessions, long conversations about life and mistakes. She never pried about my past, but one day, when I finally told her everything, she didn't flinch or pity me. Instead, she said, "You didn't lose love, Noah. You lost illusion." There's a difference. That line stuck with me. For the first time since the divorce, I didn't feel broken. I felt rebuilt. Almost a year after Sabrina's failed visit to my office, I got a message from Ruth, the investigator. "You'll want to see this," she said. She sent me a news clip, a small local report about a financial scandal involving a former personal trainer and a client who had tried to blackmail him for money. Travis and Sabrina. Apparently, after their split, Sabrina had tried to extort him, threatening to leak personal messages unless he paid her back for everything she gave up. He filed charges. She was arrested briefly before posting bail. The irony wasn't lost on me. She had spent years calculating how to steal from me. Now she was facing charges for trying to steal from someone else. I closed the video, leaned back, and laughed, not out of cruelty, but out of the sheer absurdity of it all. The woman who once told me I'd be nothing without her was now a headline for all the wrong reasons. It's been 3 years since the divorce. I still keep the investigation report locked away in a drawer, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as a monument to survival. Sabrina taught me the cost of misplaced love, but she also taught me something far more valuable: how to choose peace over pride and solitude over poison. Ilara and I are together now, not because I needed someone, but because she makes the quiet parts of life brighter. And when I look back at the man who once begged for a woman's affection, I realize I'm finally free of him too. Sometimes, The most beautiful part of losing everything is discovering that what's left was all you ever needed.